So this technique is to show you how to render color when exposed as a negative. This technique was first shown to me by Kate Rogers on her Instagram page. Now, I highly suggest swatching the colors on your hand or on a palette before you start, and then processing it through your app or through your camera to show you exactly what the values of your colors are going to be and the hues and shades, because they don't always end up being exactly the opposite of what they would be on the color wheel. As you can see, some of my reds, the opposite is not green, it is something like a turquoise. My green is a pink instead of a red, etc., etc. So I've used washi tape to create a border where the makeup will live. I've also taken photos of myself in the app and reversed them to a negative so I can see my lightest and my darkest points. Here I am basing myself out in a water-based paint. This is kind of a cerulean blue. I kind of chose a mid-tone, that way I had kind of a mid-level to work from and I could lighten and darken it as I wanted. I'm using pink as my eyeshadow because on my swatch that is what the green color was. I really like this pink. It's nice and bright. The green shows up nice and bright in the negative image, or in the negative reverse image. I'm also going to be mixing in some white to create what will become my darker green. So everything is the opposite of what you think. So when you lighten something, it actually becomes darker. When you're using one color, it's actually closer to the reverse on the color wheel. So everything is kind of upside down in this makeup, which is an interesting experiment. For me, it just really breaks me out of my box that I've been living in, doing film and print work. A lot of it is just, concealer, contour, powder, regular pink lipstick. And this is really just forcing my brain to work in a different way. So here I'm putting in my highlights, even though I'm using a dark pigment. I'm using navy blues and blacks to create my highlights, which is, again, the opposite of what you would normally do. Then I'm putting green on the apples of my cheeks and on my lips to create my pink cheeks and my pink lips that will exist in the negative. Again, it is the opposite. So I'm also adding some white into my nostrils. That was a really good tip that Kate gave, to darken them. So the white will actually show up as black. Don't forget that. Again, I'm going back in on my eyebrows, doing the same thing, putting white through them. I think I'm just using a water-based paint here as well. This is just like face paint. It works really well. It covers the eyebrows really well. I wish I had known that like years ago, because I spent so much time just fussing with cream paints and they just never seem to cover brows the same way that a water-based paint can. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing this makeup. It was just creative for me. I felt like I was back in art school. I remember the first time that my teacher forced me to draw on black paper with a white Conte crayon and render glass. And I just had to think of the highlights and the shadows in a completely different way. For the first time, I feel like I'm actually using Instagram to my real advantage. Just connecting with other artists, seeing their work has been so inspiring. And I feel like for the first time, I'm not comparing myself to other people, but genuinely learning. It's really nice. I feel like I'm finding artists that maybe don't have huge followings, but just have a real voice and a point of view. And it's been really great. So I'm hoping that you guys will keep connecting with me and connecting back and telling me what you want to see, what you want to learn, or things that you've learned that you want me to try, or, just basically anything. I'm a person on the other end of this computer, and I do want to know you, and I do want to know what you think. Yeah. Anyway, back to this tutorial really quick. I'm outlining my lips in white because that will be my darkest area, and that will be kind of like an ombre effect. I'm kind of mixing a lot of different things. I'm using watercolor, I'm using cream, I'm also using actual lipstick, and my face at this point really felt like an oil slick. I'm gonna be honest, until I kind of powdered everything with eyeshadows and and other different powders. It really just felt kind of gross. I do suggest that you take pictures of your work along the way and edit them to be a negative. That way you can kind of see the progress as you're going, because it is kind of hard to tell what you're doing until the very end. So we're nearing the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please heart the video, comment below, let me know what you'd like to see next. All right, be sweet, parakeets.